Let me retract the question first.
Okay.
And then I'll ask the question again. What's the highest mountain in the world?
The highest mountain in the world is Mount Everest, yes.
Before we discovered Mount Everest, what was the highest mountain in the world?
Well, it was Mount Everest if you think, well...
Right.
Okay.
Right. So, whether we knew of it or not, the reality is the reality.
Well, there are arguments against that.
No, well, the argument against it would be, is it sea level and this and that. But the point
there are epistemological arguments against
what's the epistemological argument against that?
That the truth of something is only true because you apply the truth value to it.
What does that mean?
It means that when I think of the highest mountain of the world, I cannot think of it as not existing as Mount Everest.
Okay, when we didn't discover Mount Everest, did Mount Everest still exist?
Yeah.
And was Mount Everest, unbeknown to us, the highest mountain in the world?
Yeah.
So, before we discovered Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world was still Mount Everest, even though we didn't know it.
Right.
Yeah? So the absolute truth is, or the reality is irrelevant as to our perspective in that sense. If we didn't know of its existence, it would still be the highest mountain in the world. Right. I'll make an easier one for you. Do you believe man landed on the moon?
Yes, I do.
Why?
I think, I'm relying on, the public consensus. I mean, if I were to stand in front of, a conspiracy theorist who would say that man has not landed in front of the moon, I'm not sure how great my argument would be.
Is it possible man didn't land on the moon?
I think it's a possibility. As far as the probability of it, I don't think it's very high.
And what would be the absolute truth in that matter?
The absolute truth in that matter? Either yes or no.
Yes. So either man did land on the moon or man didn't land on the moon, but one of them has to be true. And once you establish what is true, it's true. Like it or not, feelings are irrelevant, yeah? Okay. So
I'm not completely sure about that, but...
What do you mean?
Well...
Is there a third option?
I don't have a very strong opinion here. I'm just kind of examining it from, trying to be...
Let's make it easy. Man landed on the moon, man didn't land on the moon. What's the third option?
Well, there is. Well, when you put it in that way, there is no third option because you're putting it, as a binary relation.
One of those has to be the truth.
Okay.
So this is what the absolute truth would be. Whether we know it or not is irrelevant. Just as we were unaware of whether Mount Everest was the highest mountain in the world before we discovered it. So we can never know for sure if man landed on the moon in 1969 or whatever it was. We can only believe testimony of people who claim man landed on the moon. We can only trust the TV when we saw man walking on the moon. But we don't know for sure whether that's true.
Okay.
And then you can look at the conspiracy theorists who say, well, wait a minute, why is there four shadows where there's only one sun? Why is it flapping when there's no wind on the moon? All these things. But the point is, it's not the fact that whether man landed on the moon or not, it's the fact that one of them has to be the absolute truth. Okay. So this brings us to where we are today.
Okay, yeah.
Do you believe this universe is a product of itself, or it had a creator?
Product of itself or had a creator? I am not too familiar with the arguments here or here, so I don't think.
What do you believe?
I believe the terminology for creator is a bit.
When I say creator, what do you think I'm saying?
Well, that there is some sort of prior cause before everything that was, the necessary condition for everything that exists. Yeah, I agree that there is some sort of necessary condition for all things to exist.
Do you believe there has to be a necessary being?
A necessary being? Well, I think the terminology with being, I think that's a bit misleading because...
Philosophically, what does being mean?
It means existence.
Right, so a necessary existence.
A necessary existence, but you stated that it created everything into existence.
No. I'm saying, forget the idea of a creator right now. But the existence of a necessary being, or a necessary existence for everything else to exist.
Okay, yeah, I think I agree with that I think I agree with that. Yeah. I think I would say I agree with
And
that.
this necessary being, what qualities must it possess?
What qualities must
If
it
it's the
possess?
cause of the universe, what qualities must it possess?
So it needs to possess the quality of existing first and foremost, and it needs the.
Well, we've already agreed it does exist, necessary.
Yeah. I'm just making it as clear as
We
possible.
don't need to. That's by default.
Okay, so and it will need to have it would need to have the condition of creating, the ability to create. Yeah.
Again, default position because it is the cause of creation, so we know it can do that. What are the qualities must it possess?
What are the qualities
What about
that power?
Energy.
Well, if it is
No, I'd say
what?
the ability. The ability to be more powerful than anything we can imagine. Would you agree with that?
To be more powerful than anything we can imagine.
Yeah. Don't start thinking about Thor, but yes. Do you know of anything that can cause a universe?
No, I don't. I do not.
Whatever causes a universe is more powerful than anything you know of, yeah?
As far as I know, no.
What about intelligence?
What about intelligence?
Do you believe that this cause requires intelligence, this necessary being?
Possesses intelligence.
If we manage to find intelligence in the world, then yes, it would have to have some sort of intelligibility, or intelligence is inherent within it. That is, all the intelligence that we are seeing here is part of it. You know,
What about a will?
a will. Will I'm not completely sure about will, because we have lots of things that are created without there being a will for their creation. For example, there are lots of created situations in which there has been no foreseen will that has been involved.
Give me an example.
For example, if the wind blows this, whatever this is, stand down, if it blows it down and it breaks it, will the breaking of this stand be willed by something?
No,
It won't be willed by human will.
No, it would just be an effect of the cause.
An effect of the cause, right? So
the wind has no will. So the wind has no will.
right. As well, you could make the argument that it's acting under the will of God, but
No, but the wind itself inherently
it has no will, right?
It's not choosing.
Right.
So when there's wind and this falls and breaks, that's a mechanistic action, yeah, effect.
Yeah.
Because it's only falling because the wind is blowing. Now, if you're saying that these effects are only the result of mechanisms, yeah, because it can't blow over unless the wind is blowing.
Yeah.
So what you're now saying is the effect of something must be the result of its cause. Yeah.
Okay.
So the cause should have always been creating this effect.
I do have.
If there's no will.
No, I want to ask something. I just don't feel very comfortable with this being uploaded on the internet.
Why not? Come on, you're a philosophy student, man. I don't know. I've never studied philosophy. I left school at 15, man. I know.
Nah,
you can bamboozle me with all your.
Well, I've come here to learn more than to kind of argue. Oh, different viewpoints. I mean, that's why I'm discussing it with you.
Do you think it's unreasonable to believe in God?
No, not at all. I believe in some sort of divine creation.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So, do you...
And I do agree with the fitra that we have some inherent, the fitra. I think that's
isn't it?
yeah. I mean, I think there is an inherent believing in, some sort of divinity in the world.
I apologise for treating you like an atheist.
No, yeah, I know. I bring on this facade. I'm not, practicing any religion specifically.
No. All right. So you believe there's a...
Build on that.
Yeah. So you believe there's a God?
Yes, I do believe in God is quite a loaded term because each religion has a different conception
you
of
believe
God,
there's
right?
an intelligent, powerful being.
Well, I believe there is some sort of
Necessary being.
necessary being that I need to believe in order to exist.
No, what you said. So you believe in a necessary being that is powerful and intelligent.
Well, I have people that would argue against this behind you, actually, and they have quite loaded arguments. They're welcome to join it, actually. They were actually debating Ali Dawa here a few weeks ago. My friend Strabo here, he doesn't...
Strabo, come and join us.
Join us. And we've also got Felix.
But they're drinking though. Are you drinking yet? Or
no, this is all. I'm not drinking anymore because it's empty. That's because he's emptied it.
So that can't.
Is he ever drinking? He's emptied it. Wait, what are we talking about?
We're talking about, is it unreasonable to believe in God?
No.
We like that.
But we're not talking in certainty, I'm talking probability. I think it's more probable not to believe in him.
How so?
Right.
So are we talking about specific God?
We're talking about
the necessary being.
necessary being.
The necessary being? Okay, so can the necessary being be the universe?
What do you think?
No? Why not?
But the universe isn't necessary.
Why not?
Can we define a necessary?
Sorry?
Why is God necessary in the universe?
Okay, because the universe is made up of dependent things, yes? Right, so can things made up of dependent things be independent?
Well, surely God is made up of...
Huh?
The cause of the universe.
No. Can the universe itself be made up of dependent parts, be independent as a whole?
Wait, hang on, surely God is made up of dependent parts. Dependent attributes.
He doesn't have to be there. So the entire universe existed at the Big Bang.
No. Can the universe, is the universe made up of dependent parts? You're the right guy for this conversation. Have you met these guys?
We've got Ali...
Have you got these guys?
Come join us, because this is becoming an interesting conversation.
You're going to love this conversation. This is right.
So we are just talking about...
No.
If not, then you can...
No, I want to write it. No. These guys are saying it's more probable. Oh no, they're asking about why can't the necessary being be the universe. So I'm going to learn that.
I mean, to be honest, it's not a absurd interrogation. It's not an unintelligent interrogation. In fact, Anthony Kenny makes the same point when he asks the same question about the universe. Why can't it be? The classical argument that is made from contingency, especially in the Islamic tradition, has a subsidiary argument called the argument from composition. And so the argument really goes like this, which is that anything that is made up of parts or pieces, let's say, is contingent. That the universe is made up of pieces, therefore the universe is contingent. Now, if someone says, well, actually, that's something that can be only realized inductively, he would say this is not only the case, like you can not only just reason this inductively, but this can be understood mathematically as well. And I'll tell you how. For example, if someone were to say that a mathematical set is made up of its members. So any set with more than one member is dependent on those members in order to be a set. A set A, B, C is a set, right? So it's an expression of its members. So even if we were to express a set with more than one member, then we would have to resort to saying that without those members there wouldn't be a set. Likewise, in the universe, we're saying the same thing can be used. Without the pieces that constitute the universe, you wouldn't have the universe. So you're saying, like mathematics, these constituent parts can be merely conceptual, they don't have to be physical. So in that case, God is in fact made up of constituent attributes, which are conceptual. He's all loving, he's all powerful.
Stop.
Let me finish the point.
We're not Christians.
I know, but what do you believe God is composed of?
We don't believe he's all loving.
Okay, well that's quite clear from the Old Testament in both religions. But the point I'm making is that God is composed of constituent parts. So he's not a totally necessary entity because he depends on further attributes. Oh, it's a good interrogation. It's not, once again, it's not an intellectual. It's interesting because this is the same interrogation that Richard Dawkins has this is one of his only arguments actually on these matters. But Richard Dawkins had, and this is my response to you, I'm just giving it. Richard Dawkins had a debate with the ex-Archbishop of Canterbury and the University of Oxford. I'm not sure if you've watched that debate. And the person who was moderating that debate was actually Anthony Kenny, once again the same atheist, by the way, philosopher, who made this interrogation that you're putting forward, which indicates that you have maybe read the literature or you're aware of the argument. But he himself considered to the following, because Richard Dawkins said exactly what you're saying, that which is that if God is complicated in the sense that it's made up of many different attributes, which is the normative Islamic view, we believe that God is all-knowing, all-powerful. If that is the case, then wouldn't you require an explanation, to put it in Leibnizian terms, which is going to push the problem backwards? You know, in terms of now you need an explanation for this complex agency which you're referring to. Anthony Kenny got involved into the discussion. He said something very interesting. As an atheist, it's even more powerful because obviously he doesn't have that fight. He said if you compare an electric razor with a cutthroat razor, an electric razor is made up of more parts and is less functional than a cutthroat razor. A cutthroat razor is made up of no parts, but it can do more than an electric razor. Richard Dawkins retorted and he said,
Oh yeah.
what do you mean by that? To which Anthony Kenny replied, he said that, well, the cutthroat razor can cut an apple, but it can also cut a throat. To which the Oxford University audience started laughing, and to which Richard Dawkins had no response. What I'm saying is, it's fallacious to equate a part or a piece with an attribute, because an attribute is a description of something. So we are describing the essence of God with adjectives. That's what an attribute is. Whereas a piece is something that can be taken out and put into something. If you want to put it in modal terms, the difference between necessity and impossibility is that necessity is that if something is taken out of existence, that existence wouldn't exist. It would lead to absurdity. Whereas with impossibility, it's the exact opposite. So in other words, this thing cannot be in any world, possible world, it cannot be in reality. Like a squared circle, for example. The point is, when you take something out of reality, which is a possible existence or a contingent existence, like the pieces of the universe, for example, me or you, we didn't exist at one point. Maybe yourself, like 25 years ago. I don't know when. How old are you?
20. It's my birthday today, actually.
Whenever, you're a young man, strapping young man, nice suit yourself as well.
I like these badges. You look like some great military dictator with medals. Yeah. People want to hear you.
No doubt about it.
Want to hear you.
No. A big one for you. No. Let's stick with the argument. So the point I'm making to you is that if a contingent existence, if it's not in existence, it doesn't lead to any absurdity. Because 25 years ago, you weren't in existence. Meaning that didn't lead to absurdity, or it didn't lead to that the entire existence would not be in existence.
So not necessary.
Exactly.
Not necessary.
Sorry. Exactly.
If you define a necessary being as something that doesn't depend on anything else, then I still don't see how you can define God in those terms if you include the wide attributes that are associated with him, because he is a composition of an all-powerful deity, an all-knowing deity.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on, and he's a constituent of all these different attributes.
All right. So what I've said before, when I differentiated to you between a part and an attribute, was that intelligible to you?
It was, but I feel like you're this retreating into a linguistic realm.
No. Okay.
I could replace.
Even if we give you that,
Right.
so there is a necessary being that started the universe.
Pardon?
There is a necessary being that started the universe.
Yeah.
Why does that
Not
necessary being?
By the way, sorry. It doesn't have to be that he started the universe, by the way. But fine.
Okay, so
that the universe depends upon.
There is a necessary being which all contingent things depend upon for their existence.
Yeah.
Yes.
why? What qualities can we attribute to that, other than that is necessary?
Right. So
Let him do it.
you've done.
So other than it's necessary, what can we
No,
possibly
but
know
the
about
thing,
things?
right. No, you've already answered part of your own question. Why? Because necessity implies eternality. For example, in the field of mathematics, 2 + 2 = 4 is a necessary fact, such that you cannot
Okay,
readjust.
So it exists forever.
Yeah. So
What else?
there you have it. So, but there you have two attributes. In fact, you have pre-eternality and post-eternality. Right? You can subdivide that into two different categories. And obviously, what we're saying, we're speaking in negative terms. So something which hasn't got a beginning or an end is pre-eternal or post-eternal. So we've already got two here. Necessity indicates that lack of dependent quality. So it doesn't need anything else, which in the Islamic parlance is referred to as a samadiyya, which is that everything depends upon it and it depends upon nothing else. But then if we go into that direction, then a lot of other attributes start to be clear. So for example, the fact that God is the maintainer of the universe, or that this necessary being is the maintainer of all that exists. It maintains it because without its existence, the universe would not exist. Therefore, it's
Morality at any point?
Well,
No.
hang on. The great advantage that we have is we're merely arguing in terms of probability, and it seems like you're arguing it in the realms of certainty.
I haven't heard any argument you've made.
Well, all I'm saying is that there is a universe, and I don't claim to know how it was brought about. We can only see the laws of the universe. We can only see how we interact with those laws. And I think if we use Occam's razor, don't multiply entities beyond necessity. Don't say, there's a world, and at the centre of that world.
Why is it more probable?
Well, let me just finish, and let's take gravity for example. Okay, there's obviously gravity, and we can explain that mathematically. But then you add some additional beast existing at the centre of the centre of the Earth that draws things into it, as well as gravity. There's no need for that beast. There's no need for it. So why include it in a theory that encapsulates and describes gravity perfectly? So that's what I'm saying about the universe. We've seen the universe.
So what you're saying?
We've seen the universe. We know its laws. We can understand and describe them. We don't need to refer to any additional.
No. But what you've got to do, what you haven't done, explain to us how this universe came into existence.
Well, I mean, I'm saying I don't.
No.
You can.
Let's deal with the reality.
Stick with what he's just asked.
Reality here.
A simple question on this is: why is there something rather than nothing?
That's the key. That's where it comes down to. And
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But
okay.
I'm trying to understand why you're claiming you do.
No. It didn't start that way, did it?
No, you're saying there was a
No. What you said.
You're saying that the existence of the necessitates a necessary being, but
That's not what you said.
But the very idea
Let's
that
deal
the
with what you
universe
said.
begun.
No, let's deal with what you said. Don't change. Don't move the goalposts.
Hang on. Let me just.
Go on.
The universe is space and time, and you need
move the
objects
goalposts.
in space,
It's
and
on
you
camera,
need
man.
cause
Don't move the
and
goalposts.
effect within
Let's
time.
start the conversation
And
as
if
it was.
and
What
if
was the name again?
Yeah. Okay.
Just listen. You said it's more probable there isn't a God.
Yeah.
Right. So your probability, your mathematics, whatever you've done, whatever you've reasoned, you've come to a probable idea. It's more probable that this universe, as I've always existed, brought itself into existence, finely tuned itself, created carbon in stars by itself. No. Listen.
I am.
No.
I am.
Yeah.
Carry on. I'm not saying anything.
And then you believe that this carbon sometimes created this kind of magic custard, and then this magic custard became the first living cell on Earth, and then this first living cell kind of created information from nowhere and created new proteins and became new organisms and evolved into fish, and this fish became man, and then this man is what we are today, right? That's your claim. So I want to know why you believe that.
Okay, the only claim I'm making is that I don't.
That is your claim.
No, I'm saying I don't know.
No, you said it's more probable.
I'm saying it's more probable.
Why?
Yeah, that's right.
Because we only have we can only.
Why
base,
is that?
I can only base this argument on what I can directly see. I can see the laws of the universe. I can see how we interact with that
How can you
universe.
see? Sorry to cut in. You say you can see the laws of the new universe.
Well, no, but we're not floating off into the atmosphere, are we? I'm not seeing you floating off into the stratosphere.
What's his name again?
Strabo. And you're
Mohammed. Strabo, listen.
Strabo.
The laws of the universe are not actually something you can detect.
Are these your real names?
Well, of course, I can feel them. They're
you're making
inserted
these
upon
names
me.
Now let's get some basics right on this matter, right? The laws of the universe are just an expression of some patterns that physicists or other people.
Yes, that's true.
Now it depends on what epistemology one takes, because if someone says,
Had to be a
well,
Felix.
if a nominalist argues the universals don't exist in the real world, then by extension, laws of the universe don't exist. For example, if you said, I see the laws of the universe, can you prove that laws of the universe exist?
Not universally, but I can prove they exist now. I mean, we're not floating.
No.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I can't prove they exist everywhere. But
Laws, by definition, are an expression of more than one instantiation of a particular. You can't have a law with just one particular. You need to have more than one instantiation of a particular. Therefore, my question to you is, you just said that you're pretty convinced of the fact that there's laws of the universe. Can you prove those laws and show me how they exist under a microscope or through the empirical method, how we can come to the conclusion?
I can't. No.
Okay, good. So you seemed okay. There's issues here. You're certain at one point that there was laws, and then when you described what the laws are, you now realize that you've taken an agnostic position, or in fact a skeptical one. You say you're making no claims, but then you say that it's more probable that the universe basically exists without an explanation. These are all jumbled kind of points you're making.
Well, can I just say that you mentioned epistemology, and epistemology is grounded in language, and the laws of the universe is purely a language to describe natural phenomena.
Okay.
The way we're conversing now is a language, and we have one central concept between us. We're chipping away at it using language, and the main difference between us is that I don't see how a necessary being, the universe is necessitated by a being, by an entity.
Okay, no, but you're saying so. Okay, my question is, do you believe that you exist?
Like, I hope so. Yeah.
Right, okay. It does.
Has he conceded? Has he conceded the necessary being point? Because he moved on to attributes of necessary being.
Yeah, so but at this point, let me ask you the question: does the universe exist?
I hope so.
Okay. Is that yes or no?
I can't be sure, but yeah, I'm pretty certain.
Okay, so the universe is an expression of what?
An expression of stardust, random. Well, what do you believe?
No, he's asking you what you believe.
What is the universe?
I don't understand the question. What is it? Yeah. And it's an aggregation of stardust, us,
okay, great.
trees.
Okay, no problem. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's a good universe.
No problem.
And that energy.
Okay, no problem. Well, that universe exists.
Yeah.
Exists. Right. Does it exist necessarily, or does it exist contingently? Is the universe dependent or independent?
Well, Felix, what do you think? I think
Felix knows the answer.
Well, he's actually.
Felix knows what size his bread is buttered.
I don't know. I really don't know. But that's where that's
might
why.
be necessary that something exists.
No, you concede the necessary being.
My question. I have one question. Right now, I'm just asking.
I'm not sure.
See, I used to think like you guys.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course,
it's very late,
course.
so you can go into the academia in a minute, right?
Yeah, of course.
Look, I would say I was like you guys, because you guys seem very, very intelligent, right? But the point being made is, I never believed in a creator, I never believed in God, never believed in religion. All right, This was now over 20 years ago. Then I had conversations like this, and I said, you know what? Why should I believe the universe caused itself, created itself, finally tuned itself, and the magic custard and the origin and fish and all that business? I couldn't buy into this. The idea this is all random. So I came to the conclusion there must be something that caused this, but I'm not going to say it's God. I'm not going to go into religion or anything like this. But I looked at the creator, because you asked a very good question. You asked a question about what attributes can we infer from this? What necessary attributes must this creator have? Well, we obviously said it's got to have the ability to create. It's got to be powerful. As I was saying to my mate Yal here, that there's nothing we know of that is powerful enough to create a universe. So whatever the cause of the universe is must be more powerful than anything we know. Yeah? Would you agree?
Yeah, or is, so like you say, ability to create, or it is necessarily the creator, so it cannot do any other than
But if
create.
that no, but the point is, isn't it? Are you saying that the effects of the cause is
No, he's making
mechanistic?
So.
Can I
Let's
respond to that?
Go on.
a few things. Yeah, please.
Then I say something.
Well, you're
about
gonna bash me?
that. No,
okay.
no.
No.
I need to.
He makes a point, which is that, you know, how do we now establish the difference between that God is determined to create, or is emanating whatever it is that he's got, or this necessary existence is emanating whatever it is he's got, which means that there's no other choice but to create, or that he's choosing to create.
Yes.
So the will. So with that, I just wanted to put in there that there is a separate argument for that, which we can articulate in a
Which is
moment.
where we got to with Yal.
But there is a
Reinforcements.
separate argument for that. It's called the argument of particularization. So we'll come to that in a second. But yeah, go ahead.
So going back to that, the idea that the universe caused itself, or causation, I think all our concepts come to us through experience. If we were locked in a dark room for an entire lives, we wouldn't know anything. Our minds would be totally blank canvases. If we were deprived of all experience.
So what point did I make?
Well, the point I'm making is that we live in a world where there's time. It takes me time to move like that, and it's also causation. I move from one state to another. Now, this all occurs within space and time. I need space to move, and I need time to move within. And that is essentially the universe. When you step outside the universe, these concepts break down.
No,
and
but
experience, and all our concepts that derive from these experiences within the universe break down. So it's actually anachronistic to talk about the universe causing itself or starting itself, because there was no time, no space. So you can't even imagine what started there.
Okay. So are you now saying the universe is eternal?
I'm saying I don't know, but I'm saying it's an anachronistic question.
So if it's not eternal,
the universe caused itself.
If it's not eternal, I mean it had a beginning, isn't it?
Well, that I'm saying that question is fundamentally flawed to begin with.
But no problem. Look, here's what I will say to you. Look, you've just said a few things about causation. All right. My understanding of what you've just said, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that you basically you're citing the fact that time is distance over speed. Okay, very simple. Movement is therefore correlated with time. Movement is time. Time is not unintelligible without movement. You can say this, right? You agree with me, correct? You're a physicist. So movement and time in this universe, especially considering the Einsteinian.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, no problem. So no issues. Here's what I'm saying to you. Here's my response to you. My response to you.
Current conversation, though.
My response to you is the argument from contingency does not require causation. Causation vernacularly.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
It's true. Yeah.
Let me just. Okay, number one. Causation vernacular.
I was responding to his point.
No, but let me just
make that point.
Let me finish.
You're saying there was a beginning.
Okay, you're kind of interrupting me right now. Let me just finish because I did let you speak. Yeah. What I'm saying is, causation vernacularly is defined as something which brings rise to phenomena. Most people who define it terminologically through the philosophical literature, they can define it in more than one term. Like it can be that there's sufficient causation, there's necessary causation, there's different types of causation, there's even retrocausality. Now that people are talking about causation happening backward, basically, right? And then you have the grandfather paradox. All of that is irrelevant to this discourse. Because when we talk about dependency and contingency is irrelevant of causation. You can have, it's intelligible to have contingency without causation. So right now the word causation is not really relevant to this discussion because what we talked about is contingency and dependence. Dependency or dependence is vernacularly defined as something relies on something else for its existence. Now you can cause something into existence but it doesn't depend upon it. Let me give an example. I can cause my children, I've got 3 children, I've caused them in a sense. I'm not going to go into the details of how that happens.
Don't worry, you don't have to. I don't really want you.
Or I can build something. I can build a house. You see, you can build a house. Maybe me and you can build a house together, no problem. But when we both die, the house will continue existing. But The house will continue existing, but we will be dead. So in other words, the house does not require me in order for there to be continued existence. Therefore, causality and dependence are not the same thing. Dependence is an inextricable relationship between two entities, whereby B is in constant and perpetual, requirement or reliance on A. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But I'm saying, can't the universe be like the house we built?
No. But so.
He's talking about
Well, who
like
built the house?
gravity's ground renders.
So what I'm saying is, so just to cut you off, what I'm saying is the question of self-generation is, if you say, well, the universe can create itself, so it can be there, not be there at the same time, you can say that maybe there's retro-causality. I say the issue is not even in this. The issue is that if you say that the universe depends upon itself, you're effectively saying the universe is independent. In which case you're saying the universe is, you're effectively accepting the first premise. What I ask is the universe dependent or independent? If you're saying that, well, the universe doesn't depend upon anything, then this means that the universe is dependent upon itself. What I'm saying though, however, the problem is the universe cannot be independent because the universe has constituent pieces, parts which make it. Things which can be taken out of it or put into it, some things which, if didn't exist within the universe, no absurdity would occur. So what I'm saying therefore is that on those grounds, anything that is made out of pieces, it's like this bottle, all right? It's made out of pieces, can you see? It's got a bottle lid, I can take it off, you see? Yeah, I can do it.
Introduce a new really
I can do it. Anything that is made out of pieces is contingent. The universe, so
why can't the universe be contingent?
Okay, great, good. Now we're there.
Contingent?
So if the universe is contingent, then my point is this: there cannot be a world with only contingent things. There has to be a necessary thing, because if there's a world with only contingent things,
It goes back.
no, I'm not even making
it's dependence on it. On something else.
I'm not even making a point. I'm not even mentioning infinite regress here. I'm saying there cannot be a world with only dependent things. That's my claim. My claim is you cannot have a world with only dependent things.
Because of the infinite regress.
Well, here's the reason why. You've got three ways this can happen. You've got one way where it can be, let's bring it back in mathematical set terms, yeah? You can have dependent things which are finite. And the finite things, they're subcompartmentalized into two different categories. Either they're finite and linear, or finite and circular. If they're finite and linear, then A cause B and B cause C, which means A cause C. And if A cause B and B cause C, therefore A cause C, that means A is the cause of everything. Or A is everything depends upon A. If it's circular, that means A cause B and B cause C, and A therefore is the cause of its own effect, which is impossible. So I'm not saying, what I'm saying is you've got two options: either that is finite or infinite. If it's finite, then you have either linear or circular. Circular is impossible because then the causes will have to be, like we talked about, the issue of independence and dependence. We already talked about that. It would be fallacious. Now we go to the infinite. You can have a world with an infinite number of dependent things. But the question is, if the infinite number of dependent things, two questions: can it be conceived differently? And if it can be conceived differently, then in that case it's not necessary, because a necessary thing can never be conceived differently. Another thing is that made up of pieces? If it's made out of pieces, then if you remove or add one dependent thing, or add a dependent thing into that set of dependent things which are infinite, then you would be contradicting. This would disqualify it from being necessary, because something which is necessary cannot have anything added or removed from it. Anything that is susceptible to addition or subtraction is contingent. The universe is susceptible to addition or subtraction, therefore the universe is dependent. The same thing can be said of an infinite universe. I say the same thing of an infinite. If you have an infinite multiverse, anything that is susceptible to addition or subtraction is dependent. An infinite multiverse is susceptible to additional subtraction, therefore an infinite multiverse is dependent. So you have no choice but to go back to something which all dependent things must depend upon, and had that not been the case, there would be no dependent things. That's why my proof, therefore, of the fact that they cannot be dependent things is that with dependent things, depending upon dependent things, either finitely or infinitely, you can never you can never have an explication for the preponderance of anything. That's my argument.
Yeah, but we both originally agreed that there has to be a necessary thing to prevent that
Beautiful.
that chain of dependency.
That's what we need.
That's why Felix is.
You've just explained all the reasons why there needs to be a necessary being. We already agreed about that at the beginning of this debate.
No, you claimed the universe is that necessary thing.
But then I did ask it,
Yes.
why can't it be contingent? So I fully accept.
No. But one more thing.
Okay, I agree. It was a stupid question. It does.
It's not a stupid question.
There has to be a necessary being, like a foundation to stop
But you concede,
that
no, but after
regress.
everything he just said then, just a second. After everything he just said then, one second. Relax. After everything he just said now, you retract that claim that the universe could be that necessary thing.
Could be that necessary thing.
Go Spinoza.
Yeah, so the universe is the necessary being.
No.
And it is not subject to.
I know Spinoza. I know what he said.
But he just explained to you one second. He just explained to you why the universe can't be the necessary thing based upon it being contingent.
No,
it can't be a necessary thing because it has attributes.
And it's
It
dependent.
depends on other things.
No, 'cause it's made of a past.
Exactly. The universe depends on other
So do you
things.
believe the universe can be the necessary thing then?
From Judaism?
Well, if we define a necessary thing as that, no, it can't.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So your don't know's gone now.
Yeah, but
All right.
yes.
Well,
Okay.
Great.
There we go.
Progress.
All right. So if the universe is not the necessary thing, and an infinite multiverse cannot be the necessary thing, the question is now we have a necessary thing which is not the universe and not the infinite multiverse. Now we say that necessary thing we've already described that by virtue of it being necessary, there are certain characteristics or properties that you can say
That's where
has.
But
Felix is.
in the logical scaffolding that our arguments exists in, and under our definitions that we've agreed upon, you're right. There has to be some necessary being
To be the one second. There's necessary being.
But
One second. It has to be the necessary being for the explanation of the universe. Yes.
I
I like locking things in and boxing them off so we know where we are.
But as I said quite early on, I'm prepared to quite openly admit that I don't know, and I'm
Well, you do know now.
actually speaking
But-
around
but-
to
yeah.
probability.
Well, you just retracted. You don't know.
But I will say under the argument that you have laid out and I have agreed with,
Brilliant.
I'll have to think about it. I hope this goes online so I can look
Oh,
at
it's
it
going
again,
online.
think about it. I'll come back next
All right,
week
fine.
and we can talk
That's
about
brilliant.
it again.
No problem.
But let
Because
me-
we got progress.
Yes,
Think
okay,
about it.
Cheers. Have a great night. Yes.
Now the thing is, Felix was already there.
I've got my water.
Anyway,
but
it's a
seriously,
good-
Next time, try to come without this.
necessary being.
Sorry?
So the argument from particularity.
Sober conversation.
Particularization.
Particularization.
Yeah.
So what's that? Where do you get
so
particular qualities?
what is that? So to prove, so basically there are some attributes of God we say we cannot prove logically. We admit that. So for example, we do believe that God is loving in the sense that He's al-Wadud and so on. The Quran says that, or that He's forgiving, or that He's, there's attributes
I
that
think you can reverse from that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to tell him. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
trying
sorry.
to teach how to.
Yeah. No, that's
Well,
fine.
Explain it to him without bringing religion into it.
Yeah. No, but
what he should, without bringing the Quran and the.
yeah, I'm not gonna bring.
Yeah,
But that's what
without
I'm
revelation.
saying. We as Muslims believe in a God with X amount of attributes,
Yeah.
right? All Christians believe in something else. So what we're saying is we're not bringing that to the table right now. What we're saying is there are some attributes which can be reasoned from first principles.
Yes.
For example, necessity, pre-eternality, post-eternality, and we would say also creative capacity, like where he said that the power to change a situation. Obviously, if the universe is moving, is changing or something, you can make an argument clearly that there is a maintainer, there is a sustainer of the universe, the Lord, the Rabb, or we would call it whatever term you want to use. We could also make the argument quite clearly of particularization or of the will of God. And the argument is usually made in the literature, it's made like this, that the universe has, in the universe and all that is in it, if understood in abstraction is one way, or if understood in abstraction, yes, is one way, not another. And if it's one way or another, then that indicates that something has had an effect on it. So there was an external sorting agent of sorts, which made it one way and not another. And if there was an external sorting agent for why the universe is one way and not another in abstraction, that indicates that choice has been made on it. And if some choice has been made on it, that's exactly what a will is. So we would say that that's the evidence of the will of God.
So if the universe is full of contingent parts,
Yeah.
it could have been otherwise. There has to have been a particular choice from the necessary thing to make it this contingent way as opposed to another.
Beautiful, but the only thing I would put to that, to just clear it up, is that in abstraction. So in other words, because someone could argue, using a deterministic worldview, that we believe that nothing could have been otherwise because everything is determined of an antecedent causal chain of events. But we're saying in abstraction, in other words, this bottle, in abstraction, okay, when you think of this bottle in and of itself, there's nothing within this bottle which indicates necessity. So from that perspective, it's contingent in and of itself, in abstraction, without consideration of an antecedent causal chain. And if that is submitted to, and it has to be because it's a defeat of all the arguments, then there's an external sorting agent which made this bottle one shape, one way, rather than another. And if that's the case of this bottle and everything within the universe, then that indicates that there was an external sorting agent which sorted the universe to be one way rather than another.
Well, can I say thank you? And
Yes.
there has to be some necessary being, perhaps, but you'll take. I'm with you there. You've slid the skepticism beneath my legs, and now I'm with you on that. But it would take a hell of a lot more to get me to believe in some particular deity.
No, don't worry about that right now.
At this point, I could be believing on some sort of claw munching, tooth-covered beast.
But that would be the problem with that beast would be contingent because it's got claws.
Well, there we go. But this is the thing. I think this is what I said originally. I think God does have attributes.
Yes, but not parts that you can break off and put on.
But you said mathematics. That's why I said do you agree conceptual parts or physical parts? Because if teeth are physical, but you said you agreed that
good
conceptual parts are also.
So no, you're right. You're right to flesh this out. Just on this point quickly, because I think it's important. In mereology, which is the study of parts and wholes, the study of parts and wholes is called mereology, right? Mm-hmm. There are 9 definitions of what a part is. 9.
Where's Felix gone? You knew I was coming.
9 definitions of what a part is. One of them is what you've mentioned. So if I say it's part of his personality, what's your name again, bro?
Strawbo.
Strawbo is part of Strawbo's personality that he has a charismatic and witty way about him, yeah? It's part of his personality. Now I'm saying something different. It's part of M.Hijab's personality that he's tall, dark, and handsome.
He's a great orator and rhetoric, and he has a vast crowd
Is it
of followers.
Say it. Short, fat, and ginger.
No.
Say it.
It's part of the personality of Hamza Maya, the online sensation, that he's cutthroat, no-nonsense person that gets straight to business and leaves his opponents dumbfounded. Anything can be said. What that part here is different to the part when we're talking about something which can be removed and added. So when I'm making the argument, I'm not saying I'm using the word part, or basically I'm using the word.
Yes, I understand. So the tooth can be removed, but not his all-loving quality.
Excellent.
Right, but that I still don't see. So it's actually within the definition of the thing. Like yes, that's what you're saying. Okay, let me come back tomorrow. You flung a great argument. It's been kicking around for about 2,000 years. So I will come back. It's quite a hard thing to come up with a good response on the spot, but thank you. It was very
Can I ask
good
one last thing though?
debate.
Do you think we can infer intelligence as well for this necessary being?
Well, I think the very tools that we're using to
I want to hear
discuss
Felix. I want to hear Felix philosopher.
If everything in the universe is contingent, then there has to be some sort of choice abstracted that made the universe this way particularly. I don't think there's any way of knowing between a thing that made a choice to make it like intelligent.
Can I throw something in the spanners? Can I throw a spanner in the works?
Or some necessary cause which grounds all of existence, but which could not have made another existence.
Can I present my exhibit A? DNA. Yeah? You tell me of anything you know of in this universe that you're aware of, that contains information that isn't the result of an intelligent agency. Anything you can think of in your human experience.
Sorry, so the contains information.
That contains information that isn't the result of a intelligent agency. Anything.
A photon.
A photon.
A photon traveling from the sun, contains information about its being and where it came from.
No. We're not talking about data. We're talking about information, coding, as what makes it. Yeah. So, for example, you read a book. You see a book.
So a plant.
A plant.
Yeah, a plant has DNA.
Oh, okay. And where's the DNA? This is the whole point. The plant is made of DNA. The DNA. How does the DNA become a plant? Sorry, how does the cell become a plant? It's because of the information in the DNA, isn't it? So what I want to know is, my claim is this: the DNA inside, the information inside the DNA has to be, based on my human experience, the result of an intelligent agency. Because I know of nothing that contains it coding in this way that isn't the result of intelligent agency.
Right, so you admit the limits of your knowledge.
No, I'm saying to you, DNA contains information, and I'm asking you, where's that from? Where does the information come from?
So all we can conclude on that is that it came from something.
Came from something.
Which we do not know.
But we've already concluded as well that everything within the universe came from what? Necessary beings. Therefore, if we find intelligence, where's the intelligence come from? Where's it? If we find it,
I don't think there's a way of knowing between an intelligent being that made things this way as opposed to another, or something that made.
Can I recommend a book for you to read?
Sure.
It's called Signature in the Cell. The Argument for Intelligent Design. Yeah. If you get it's by Stephen Meyer. Yeah. Read that book. Have you read it? No, I haven't read it.
Do you know, I want to add to this point, to bolster this. The way I make the argument is as follows. I don't know what your stance is on fine-tuning. Like, there's different ways of understanding it. But what we know as a fact is the universe exists. And what we also know is that it allows human life to exist. So the universe, whether you want to call it, whether you want to express that through the electromagnetic constant and its so fine-tuning, or the gravitational, or if you want, as I would take the approach, to do so through the underpinnings of science itself. Like the fact that science is regular, that it's uniform, and that it's stable. These are three facts of science which are presuppositional to any experimental method anyway. So one could phrase it in the following way, that the universe is regular, stable, and uniform enough to allow human life to exist. Would you agree with that? It's almost undisputable.
What's the probability of that? You love probability.
So the only problem I have with that stance is that had the universe not been stable enough to support human life, we wouldn't be here to wonder about.
No, I know, but that's the anthropic principle. No, he's referring to the weak anthropic principle. Yeah. But that's been destroyed in the literature. I don't need to go there. Even John Leslie.
Please do, because I'm not.
No, but what's the probability?
John Leslie. No. Do you know what he's saying? Let me.
Sorry, I'm
he's saying that like this is what Richard Dawkins once again said. He said that okay, look, even forget about the word probability. We can use it, but I'm saying do you know what I'm saying? I'm saying the probability is 0.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying 0.1. I'm saying do you know why? I'm saying that a universe that is regular, stable, and uniform, okay, that sustains human life is a fact that we have. That the universe is regular enough and stable enough and uniform enough to sustain human life or any life. Yeah? That's a fact. Now you have two options. One option is impossible, one option is necessary. Either that this has come from a necessary existence, which we've already argued for before, or this doesn't come from a necessary existence. It comes from nothing. I'm saying it's impossible for this reality to come from nothing. It's actually impossible.
Where we disagree on whether or not that was a choice.
Yeah, but we have the particularization argument for that.
Yeah. So that only if everything here is contingent, it must have come from a choice.
If
every constituent of the universe is contingent, it must have been chosen intelligently to be this way.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want.
That doesn't rule out the possibility that everything right now is necessarily as it is.
Okay, great. I'm happy you came with this because I considered this and thought about it. Necessity of things within the universe is not a disqualifier to the fact that it comes from a necessary existence. Let me tell you why. The category of necessary fact is different from the category of necessary existence. I'll give you an example.
I agree.
Yeah. So one actually presupposes the other. 2 + 2 = 4 is a necessary fact. Whether you employ a nominalist framework or a conceptual one, or you believe in a Neoplatonic one, you have to accept that 2 + 2 = 4. And that's necessary. There's no way of manipulating that reality. However, that necessary fact, that 2 + 2 = 4, is contingent on the existence of necessary things. And so the necessary existence, in the category of existence, you have the necessary existence. In the category of facts, you have many necessary facts. In other words, all necessary facts depend upon the necessary existence, because existence presupposes the expression of facts.
Yeah.
So for what I'm saying is, even if you say the universe is necessarily this way, we wouldn't actually disagree with you. We would say, if it's necessarily this way, it's not a choice that's dichotomous or trichotomous or otherwise, aside from the choice which is that the universe, it relies on the necessary existence. In fact, it's in line with that, because you can have something which is necessary in the universe, but only so because it's depending upon the necessary thing.
Yes.
So in other words, this bottle.
If you have a necessary being and a contingent universe, then you necessarily have a choice to make it that way instead of another. If you have a necessary being and a necessary universe, then there's the possibility that that necessary being created it that way and could not have done otherwise.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
So if you have a necessary being
Yes.
and a universe which is necessarily this way,
Yes.
then there's the possibility that that necessary being had no opportunity to choose otherwise, that it necessarily created the universe as it is like this.
I accept, but here's where we need to be careful, because as I say, this bottle is contingent in the why I was very careful to say the word in abstraction. In and of itself, this bottle, there's nothing about it which is necessary. There was some time it has a lifespan. The fact that this bottle had an inception contradicts the fact that it's necessary in and of itself. However, that the fact
A necessary being or a necessary fact?
a necessary a necessary thing, whatever this bottle is, yeah.
Well, so the fact
Entity.
the fact that it had a start.
Yeah, that means in and of itself, this bottle is not necessary.
This bottle as a whole is not eternal.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that that bottle came into existence at the moment that it did.
Yes.
Why is that?
Yes.
Contingent.
No, you're right. That isn't. We're saying that there's two perspectives. From one perspective, this bottle is contingent. From another perspective, if it's connected to the antecedent causal chain from a deterministic perspective, or to the necessary existence, then it actually becomes necessary.
Yeah.
So it's necessary in and of it's contingent with respect to itself, but necessary with respect to its connection with the necessary existence.
Yeah.
I think I've got a good question to
does
ask
that make
on
sense?
that point.
Just to finish
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
Therefore, even if we say that the laws of nature are necessary, even if we say that the laws of nature are necessary, they cannot be necessary in and of them or as a result of themselves. They have to be necessary in respect to the necessary existence, or the antecedent causal chain, which we would say ends with the necessary existence. Does that make sense? So there's two aspects of it. In and of itself, in abstraction, this bottle is contingent. But when connected to the necessary existence, it's necessary. We believe in something called, as Muslims, qadar. I'm not going to bring religious concepts, but we believe this bottle, from one perspective, is contingent. It's actually our belief. So this is sorted out. If from one perspective it's contingent, but from another perspective, it was always meant to be. Because God, He decided for that. When God decided, then there was no other way that this bottle was going to be except for that way. So there is a kind of, not determinism, we are compatibilists, determinism that we do believe though. You see what I mean? But the point is that even if we say, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because classically the fine-tuning argument, like William Lane Craig and those guys, when they make it, they say that it's either chance.
This is my question.
Yeah.
Do you believe the universe is deliberate or accidental?
So you mean deliberately it's this way and it has to be this
No.
way?
The universe came into existence deliberately, or it came into existence accidentally?
I don't think we can know.
Right. So if it came into existence deliberately, accidentally, what are the chances it would be the way it is? Because you'll make the probability, you see.
I'm not sure we can know that either.
Well, no, but because we can.
But so if accidentally, then
How many
then-
ways? All right.
then
How
it
many
could
ways?
have been-
How many ways
so
could this?
one
Right.
over the number of ways.
If we're talking about an accident, sorry, I know.
No, it's cool.
Because we're talking about an accident. Let's take that as a perspective. You don't know either way. So let's look at the accidental idea.
But one over big, one over huge.
Well, there's more. I think there's more particles in the universe when it comes to the zeros that would be on that probability.
Yeah. But it's still a number that's greater than zero.
Yeah, but okay. If I ask you a very simple question, who wrote the works of William Shakespeare? Was it William Shakespeare, or a guy claiming to be William Shakespeare, or was it a billion monkeys on a billion typewriters writing over a billion years?
It would take longer than a billion years.
Okay. Is it probable? Is it zero, or is it possible?
It's possible that it was.
Right. It's possible. It's possible.
Well, no, because the number of monkeys that have been alive aren't sufficient for the amount of time we've had.
I think you're making his case.
The point I'm making is very, very simple. The odds of a billion monkeys, oh, right, over a billion
Having
years,
written the works of
right, in the works of Shakespeare,
Yeah.
is the same probability of this universe fine-tuning itself by accident to create life, support life.
Okay.
That's the probability. And your mate, Stavo, what's his name? Strabo. Here, it's more probable that the universe is a product of itself and created itself, and there is no creator and all of these things. And these are the probabilities you work for. And it gets worse when you look at the probability of carbon forming in stars accidentally. And it gets even worse about the probabilities of the single cell creating DNA. Creating the DNA randomly mutating for something beneficial. You've got that. They've got the probability in biology that's absurd. You've got the probability in chemistry, which is absurd, and the probability in physics.
So had the laws of the universe been even slightly different in some respects, life would not be sustainable.
That's one way of making the argument, and that's fine. And he's being generous with you because he's saying that there's some possibility. I'm saying that it's impossible.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying.
But why? Because if it's even slightly possible, the fact that it did happen is the only reason that we can sit here and wonder about why it did.
No, but you're going to the anthropic
the only circumstances in which we can even ask the question, how probable was it that this was created by accident, are those in which that small probability came to actuality.
All right, either that small probability happened random chance, or it's deliberately made the way it is perfectly from the beginning.
Okay, sure, but you're still set there 50-50 either way.
No.
It's definitely not 50-50.
How is that 50-50? The probability is
I toss a coin every morning,
there's more particles in the universe than there is zeros in that probability.
Hamza's making a very strong point here, and I think
you've got to add so many things up.
Deep down, I think you agree with him. But here's what I want to add.
Okay, so why is it zero?
I'm saying it's zero. I'm saying it's worse than zero. I'm saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's the equivalent of a squared circle.
Okay, why?
The reason why is because if the universe can't do anything by itself, to itself like that. In other words, what I'm saying is when we say classically, the way that the fine-tuning argument has been made, when I was growing up, the way I've heard it being made, is that there's three options. Either it's necessity, or it's chance, or it's what do you call it? The third thing is that it's creation or causation or something, yeah?
That's causation, where's Strabo?
Or creation or something like that, or design. These are the three.
Yeah.
There's either design or necessity or
what's the difference between design and necessity?
That's a good question. That's my question, actually. When I was at university one time, I had a conversation with a very famous Christian academic called Alistair McGrath. And I said to him, I had a conversation after one lesson, and I said to him, look, I don't necessarily agree. I was checking my work with him. I said, I don't necessarily agree that there's a difference between necessity and design. Because as we've just described, if the necessary existence designs something, it becomes necessary. So there's no dichotomy between necessity and design. So already, one would have to justify why we're choosing A over B in that situation. So already, you can have necessity and design already in the same space. When it comes to chance, I actually think chance is impossible. Because what are we saying here? The universe is regular and stable and uniform to the extent whereby we know that human life or any life exists within it. How can that happen? Either it comes from nothing, which is impossible because something cannot come from nothing, or it comes from itself, which entails a self-contradiction because something cannot self-create or generate. Something cannot self-generate, yeah, like that. Or, no, but we don't say it's self-generating, we're saying it's always been like that, necessarily, because if it generates, it indicates non-existence to existence.
Don't forget, one of the qualities of the necessary being is eternality.
Yeah, so it's not self-generating in that sense. I know what you're saying, but it's not self-generating in the sense that it didn't exist, then it existed. So it goes back to this trichotomy. So the universe, the laws of nature could not be such that the way that, or that the universality, the uniformity and regularity and stability of the universe can allow human being to exist, or human life to exist, or any life to exist. That can't be the case as a matter of impossibility. One would have to explain how something like that, the fact that the universe is regular, stable, and uniform, such that it allows human life or any life to exist, how that either comes from nothing, or that it makes itself.
To my left.
There's no way of basically this whole idea of chance. My point is, what do you mean by chance? Chance itself is something which requires an explanation. Chance is something which we don't understand. Chance is the expression of what we don't understand. That's what chance is. What is chance? If you don't mind me asking, what is chance? I want to know what chance is. No one, I've read a lot of philosophical literature, like yourself. No one has told me what chance is. Chance doesn't exist. I'm saying chance does not exist. The word chance, I don't believe in chance. I disbelieve in chance. I'm skeptical of chance. Chance doesn't, the word chance, the thing, the concept of chance does not exist. I'm saying it now. I want some atheist to tell me, or anybody to tell me, how to prove that chance exists. I dare, double dare, triple dare, double, triple dare. Anybody
I'm just gonna step out. I need to go pray.
Sorry, bro.
That was beautiful.
Do you know?
I'm gonna pop back.
I want to know. I want to know.
I want to hear this.
I want to know this God of chance of the atheist, the atheist God of chance. I want to know the evidence of that God's existence of yours. So if you say there's a chance, I want to know your God's existence, that your chance God, the atheist God of chance, I want to know this God's existence called chance. Have you got any evidence? Can I see the chance?
So we already agreed that if the universe exists in this way by chance, then it has to have been chosen to be this way intelligently.
I don't believe in chance.
Okay. So even if
Do you believe in chance?
The necessary, no. So chance seems to be like stuff you don't know the outcome about.
Yeah.
There's still some mechanism underlying it. It seems like it.
Okay. What I'm saying is, yeah.
I mean, so quantum physics.
Beautiful. Yeah. Chance is that. Chance is the expression of that which we don't know. Like, for example, if something happened and I don't know how to explain it, I say it happened randomly. But that's just expression of my own ignorance. It does not say anything about, is there an entity out there called chance? Is there somebody called, can I put chance under a microscope? Can I reason that chance exists some logical way? Chance is the best friend of the atheist. But chance doesn't exist. I want to break it to the atheist. Break it, bro. Break it up.
If the world is like this by necessity,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that we can know that it was chosen to be like this by necessity.
Oh, it's back.
Yes.
That's no random event.
No, of course not. I mean, that's for a brief intermission to get some more whiskey down me.
Yes. Well, that didn't happen by chance either.
No. So if the universe is necessarily like this,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that we can know that it was chosen intelligently to be like this, or if the necessary cause could do no other than make it this way.
No, we are, as I say, logically you could try and make both arguments. But what I'm saying is that the argument from particularization, the fact that the universe is one way rather than another, such that instantiations of the universe, particulars within it, are...
How do you know that your very entertaining of the concept of another is not necessarily caused?
Say that again?
So how do you know that your very entertaining of other possibilities isn't a necessary event in the universe?
Okay, so contingency is not just understood by understanding that it could be another way. Anything that could have, anything that was out of existence then became existence. Anything that's generated is contingent. The universe has things
its
which
existence
is
contingent in the sense you're saying between the necessary being and the contingent universe.
Yes, in that sense.
But the fact that it became contingently like it is and has been and was, that might be a necessary fact.
The fact that it has become what it is because but we link that back to necessary being. Because a determinist could say that, but they will only do so because of the antecedent causal chain.
Yeah. So I don't see how we can, from this, determine whether or not it was all intelligently chosen, or if the necessary being could not do otherwise than make it this way.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. I mean, you could try and make this argument, but what I'm saying is that the necessary being, the point of its necessity only links to his choice. Or this necessary being's choice. Let me use neutral language. Its choice.
It's doing.
Yeah, its choice. No problem. What I'm saying is, if that's the case, necessity is explicable because of the will, not despite it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It doesn't. So in other words, necessity does not negate the will. It emerges from it.
But not necessarily.
We would say it's necessary because it emerges from the necessary. Anything that emerges from a necessary being is necessary.
Yes, but from what we've discussed, we can't know that the necessary being has choice.
Surely everything that emerges from a necessary being is dependent.
I'm saying we can know through particularization. We can know through the fact that the universe has within it contingent things, which can be conceived of in another way. For example,
conceived. But you said this conception of other possibilities is not just from our ideas of other possibilities. It's outside of conception.
What do you mean?
So you said earlier when I said that.
Okay, not just okay. So okay, let me tweak it, make it even better. Something can be another way, not just because of its conception, because it can be another way without an absurdity occurring.
Okay, But how would you know that?
Let me give you an example. So, for example, if I have a white board, I can paint it and make it red. So I can prove the fact that can be another way, on empirical grounds.
At that time.
What do you mean?
So right now there's a bunch of different causal processes
Okay.
that have determined, in a certain sense, that this water bottle is here.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
And then when you move it from left to right,
Yeah.
it's a bunch of other different causal processes that have determined that it's going to be there at that time.
Yeah. So you're bringing time into this.
Yeah.
I say time is irrelevant to this. And in fact, you can argue time doesn't exist. The idea of time doesn't exist, just like chance. The argument can be made. What is time? Time is distance over speed. And that's not relevant to the necessary existence. Whether time exists or not, it's not relevant to the necessary existence.
No, that's okay, but this water bottle can't be in two places at once.
Okay.
So it could be necessary that it is in this place now. Just like with the whiteboard, it's contingent which colour it is. But at any one moment,
Okay.
it is either one colour or it is another.
If I
Both.
take the whiteboard out of existence, does any absurdity occur?
No.
Right. This indicates that the whiteboard is not necessary because by necessity is juxtaposed or otherwise contrasted with impossibility.
Or it was necessary until the moment that you took it out of existence.
That's impossible.
Why?
Because a necessary thing can never be taken. A necessary thing can never not be necessary at any time.
So the whiteboard wasn't necessary.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
But the whiteboard's existence for a certain amount of time until it stopped existing.
Yeah, that we already
could have been necessary.
No, that we agree already.
Right, but from those facts, we cannot know if the universe was caused by an intentional choice or by just something that could not have created otherwise.
What I'm saying is, if there are things in the universe which are contingent, such that if they are taken out of the universe, that no absurdity would occur, such that they can be proven to be contingent through generation, and or such that you can conceptualize them differently through some metaphysical process, mental process, any of those things, then in that case, they are contingent in and of themselves, necessary only because of their connection with something which is necessary. What I'm saying, therefore, is if it's contingent in and of itself in abstraction, that's evidence of the fact that some change has happened to it, or that it is the way it is because of something other than itself. And if that's the case, for example, let me give you an easy example. The egg changes into a chick, and then the chick cracks open, becomes chicken, blah, 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 blah. I'm not making an argument necessarily of potential versus actual, but you can make the argument. Something which requires something outside of it in order to change indicates that the finitude of that thing, the limitation of that thing, and the contingency of that thing. And the universe as a whole exhibits those traits. What I'm saying, therefore, that the universe, okay, is contingent because of that, and that, number two, something is acting upon the universe. Something is acting upon it. Now, if something is acting upon the universe, it's acting upon it to be A rather than B, because.
Okay, so this is where I'm not getting.
Yeah.
Why? So because of all of these things, it's they're contingent beings that can exist without the universe going into some logical error. Why does that mean that it was acting on it in such a way to be A rather than B? Why is B even a real possibility? Why can't it have been the case that A was the only ever real possibility?
Okay, B is
the act.
I get your question.
Could only ever have been to make A.
I understand your question. It can be A. No. A over B is a real possibility in abstraction. Meaning, if I were to conceive of the thing which has been changed, or has been generated, and or can be conceived differently, that thing in abstraction, without connection to any necessary being in and of itself, that thing, is contingent, and or has something acted upon it.
Yeah,
something.
But then the choice only exists in abstraction.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that since it has those traits, A over B, yeah, which we know, there's nothing necessary in abstraction of a bottle being this shape. I could squash it. I could squash this bottle. I could squash it. You know. I don't know why I just said that 3 times. I can squash this bottle.
I believe you.
All right, okay. So therefore, there's nothing necessary about the shape. However, from another perspective, that it comes from like do you know what I mean? So I agree with you. I know what you're saying. You're right. That from one perspective, this bottle is determined. I'm saying that clearly. But that's from the perspective that is connected to the determiner. Simple as that.
Yeah, but even in the sense that it's contingent, I don't think that necessitates that the thing that grounds its existence, the thing upon which existence it relies, has this intentional and intelligent will. That you're
Okay, no problem. You have an
But then
issue
it goes
with...
back to my original question.
Yeah.
Is the universe deliberate or accidental?
All right, I need to pray.
No, because it can be accidental.
I need to pray back up, yeah?
So
I'll be back maybe, yeah? I'm just going to pray and come back, okay? If you're still here, sorry. Wrap up?
We can wrap it up. But
Right, think about what you said, yeah?
But what we can
And then
do,
come to Islam.
But what we can do, no, what we can do if you're up for it, I'll do something on my channel,
Perfect.
We'll bring Invite support as well. Invite Felix, invite Strabo. Maybe when you've not had.
He's a very nice guy.
Yeah, and we'll have these conversations, and we'll do it online if you want. You can do it online. It's not problem. You don't need to come to the park.
No, honestly, you're invited to come to the mosque in Ramadan. You break fast with you, and not with that, but something else. Or you can come on his channel. You're a good guy. I like you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So happy to have you. Honestly, because I wasn't going to come to the park today. I decided yes, I wasn't going to come, and then
Very glad you did.
I'm happy.
I'm glad I came.
Yeah,
We do want to instigate this conversation.
It's
and
very,
Yal's very happy.
Very good conversation.
You know that? Because their mate Yal believes in God.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to him, and he says, "Oh, my friends, they have really good arguments against God."
Yeah.
And then Felix and Strabo come.
Wow.
And we're like, yeah. And then I see in yours, oh, my friend. Say it again. Yeah, sure.
All right. I'm going to go and pray. Thank you so much, bro. Yeah?
But I do
Anytime.
have
You're invited to anything you want, yeah? Oh, sorry, I'll throw this in a bit. Take care. I'm going to go pray. Bro.